Real quick, I just want to preface this video by saying I would not be diving deep into the numbers of which one will save you more money over time. There's plenty of videos out there on that already. And in fact, this video is going to be why that number is impossible to determine because every market and every scenario is different. All right, let's do this. I have been avoiding making this video for quite some time because it is very controversial and for no good reason. It's should you buy a house or should you rent? Should you ever buy a house or should you always rent? And look, I am more on the rent side. Most people know that of me, but only at first and until you gain knowledge. Look, this is going to depend greatly on your specific scenario. I cannot stress that enough. Look, if you are 19 years old and you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, you don't know where you're going to live, if you have no idea about the housing market you're in, and you go out and buy a house at retail on a 30-year mortgage, I personally think that is a dumb move. I think that you have just essentially handcuffed yourself to an area, to a mortgage. You don't even know what the market's like, if it's going up or down, if you can even rent that house for what your mortgage is when you leave. There's so many unknowns there, and now you're stuck in a 30-year mortgage. And please, people, go do the math on a 30-year mortgage versus a 15 before deciding. That's not what this video is about. I'm sorry. So you're stuck with a 30-year mortgage, you're stuck in the city where you don't even know where you want to be, and you might not be able to unload that house quickly because in the first few years, you know you almost pay nothing towards principal. If the market is sinking in that area, going down, then you may be stuck in that house because you can't move now, because you can't rent it out and you can't sell it because you're upside down on the mortgage, or nobody will buy it for the price that you need to pay it off for at the bank. And so now you are literally stuck in an area. You can't move. You have a $1,500 payment, which is like almost all of your income, and you can't go anywhere. And maybe you bought this with your high school sweetheart, and now y'all aren't together anymore, and now you're trying to do it on one income. So there's so many unknowns there on buying a house. When you're very young, just starting out, you don't know where you want to live, and you don't understand housing prices in the market. You don't even understand money yet. So not to mention that a lot of people buy their first house with a lot of debt. Now the bank has a lot of rules set in place now for debt to income to try to manage that, but that they can't control is what you buy after you buy the house. So your debt to income may have looked great before you bought this house, but now you've also went and got the car to match, and you got the credit cards and the clothes, and you had to fill up that walk-in closet, and you had to put furniture in the whole house and all this stuff. And now you have a really bad debt to income ratio. And like I said, maybe again, a split happens, a divorce or a breakup. And now you're trying to do this all on one income. So there's way too many unknowns when you are very young trying to purchase a house. Another thing is, I get this message a lot, is like, hey, I'm going off to college soon. Should I just buy a house where I'm going so I don't have to pay the room or rent when I go off to college? This could be a huge mistake, again, if you do not understand real estate and understand the market you are moving to. And also, do you want to be a landlord? Because a lot of people are like, well, I'll just purchase it when I get there, and then when I leave, I'll rent it out. Well, are you sure you want to be a landlord, especially of college students, some of the hardest people to be a landlord of? These are all questions you need to ask yourself. There's more into it than just, is it a financially good decision? Everybody's telling me I should just buy a house instead of rent. My mom, my dad, this guy on the TV said that buying is smart and renting is stupid because I'm just throwing money away. Realtors pitch that a lot, that you should be buying a house. Well, you know why they're pitching it. No offense to my realtor friends. But you got people on the other side of the spectrum like Grant Cardone saying you should always rent. No matter what, you should always rent. Well, this guy is a landlord. He wants you to rent. Like, he owns tons and tons of apartment buildings, so he wants you to rent. But he has good points as well. Look, when you go out to buy a house, it's expensive, especially if you're going to put money down. Let's say you put 20% down or 10% down or whatever the case may be, and it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Usually people save up for that, and there goes their entire nest egg. Also, their debt's not paid off, so again, they're going into this mortgage with debt. But there goes all of that opportunity money, I call it, because you could have started a business with that. You could have did a lot more things with that $10,000 or $15,000 that would have given you a much higher return than buying versus renting. So renting, yeah, it is kind of throwing money away, quote unquote, but it's allowing you opportunity. It's not making you be stuck in one area. You can get out of a lease for 1 month's penalty at almost any time and up and move. If you get that job offer or find an opportunity in another state or another city, you can just up and move. You're not responsible for anything with the building. These are why I like renting. You don't have to fix anything. You just pick up the phone and you call somebody and they come and make a repair. That is wonderful. That is such a load off somebody's mind if they are trying to get started in their professional career, or they're going through college, or they're just getting started off in life. You come home and the roof's leaking, you just pick up the phone call and somebody comes and fixes it. If it's your house, you have to fix it. Either you have to do it yourself or you have to call somebody. It's a very expensive repair that you might probably not have saved for yet, because again, you don't understand money yet. You don't understand what an emergency fund is. You don't understand how to save. You don't know what even an asset versus a liability is. You just went out and bought a house because everybody was telling you to buy a house. When everybody's telling you to buy a house, that's great. Good for them telling you that, but they don't have to cover the expenses and the mortgage and the PMI, private mortgage insurance. They don't have to cover all these expenses that you will have to cover going forward for the next 15 to 30 years. You know, they just get to tell you to go do it, and then you're ultimately responsible for it. So look, buy versus rent. Like, it's going to be ultimately up to you and your situation. If you are someone who know where you're going to live for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and you without a doubt, unless something crazy happens, you are there, then yeah, you should probably buy instead of rent. You shouldn't rent for 10 or 15 years. But if you are moving around, if you're still mobile, you're still young, then maybe rent right now until you get your things in order, your things in line, and you understand what you want to do in life. There's so many things that go into this, guys. Just like, figure it out for your own specific situation, and don't listen to what anybody's telling you. Don't go buy a house because your mom told you to, and don't go rent because Grant Cardone told you to. Understand your specific scenario, what your money's like, what the market's like, where you're going to live in the next 10 to 15 years. All these things are important questions you need to ask yourself before you go and do either one of them permanently. That's the best thing about renting, though. It's not permanent. So I'm always going to advocate for renting until you understand all these things. But I also sell houses. Look, I get it. Like, John, don't you sell houses? Yes, I do sell houses. But it's not my job to make sure everybody's in their perfect scenario, whether they should rent or buy. I am providing a product for somebody who wants that product. Now, if they were my client, I would have some conflict of interest there. But I don't know everybody's background. I am producing a product and selling it. It's not my job. Apple doesn't come, you come into Apple Store and then you say you want an Apple phone. They don't say, well, what's your credit like? Well, they might actually ask for your credit. But they're not going to ask, like, do you have 6 months of savings? Do you understand good debt versus bad debt? They're not going to ask all that stuff. They're going to sell you the product because that's how they stay in business. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. That was literally the maintenance man at my building we just bought. Rhiannon and I just bought. We bought a 4-unit that we rent out to other people that like to rent. And in fact, real quick, we rent. Yes, I know, I am in the real estate business and we rent. Well, we rent because we found cheap student housing. Rhiannon's full-time in doctorate school, and we pay $500 a month for a nice new apartment. And $500 a month, that includes water, so we just cover electric. So all in, we're like $580 a month for our living expenses. I couldn't find that somewhere with a mortgage when I first got here. Now I know how to. Again, I'm glad I waited, because we were going to buy when we first got here, but I didn't know the market. I didn't understand if it was going up or down. I didn't know where to buy. I didn't know almost any of this stuff. I didn't know a quarter of the stuff I know now. And now I'm glad I'm waited, because when we are ready to purchase, maybe here in the next 3 or 4 months, I am going to find an extremely good deal. I know how to find a good deal now. I know where to buy, so that I know that while I can't guarantee appreciation, I know that over time it won't depreciate but so much with the market turns. I know that I'm not buying in a bad area, and if I spend 100 grand, it's going to be worth 80 in a year because that area is deteriorating. I know all this stuff now, so I'm glad I waited. So that's the other thing you can do, is hunt around for good pricing no matter where you're going to live. Whether you're buying or renting, you should know this stuff ahead of time before you jump in with the decision. You don't pay $2,000 a month for rent in an area where you could find an equally as nice place, not so as nice, but almost as nice, for about $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Same thing with your house. So these are all questions you need to answer for yourself first before renting or buying. It's not cut and dry whether you should do either. If you have questions whether you should rent or buy, and you have your story together so I can help you, reach out to me, send it in a message, and I can advise you the best I can whether you're ready or not. I've done that for several people already, but ultimately it is your decision. It's what makes you happy, but I do think that you should be financially savvy first before purchasing such a big thing. It's probably the biggest thing you'll ever purchase, so you should be smart about it. All right, guys, I know this video was chaotic. It was all over the place, but I just wanted to put it out there to kind of give my opinion and my thoughts on whether you should rent, versus buy. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.